Welcome to the 12th day of December 2023 as we are running out of racetrack in the calendar year, but never running out of racetrack right here on In the Car with Starr. Proud to bring you another Hall of Fame guest. You hear him every Tuesday, every Thursday at 8:05 on the morning show with yours truly and Connor McKenna. This man's resume is long. Go check him out on LinkedIn because it takes up a couple of pages, all the accomplishments. He's a Penn State graduate. He's the former chief marketing officer of the Montreal Canadiens, the former president of the Montreal Alouettes, and a former executive of the NBA. And now he has this new kind of venture. We'll talk about that and what Ray's doing. You watch him on RDS and you listen to him as a contributor. Say hello, everybody, to Ray Lalonde. Ray, thanks so much, brother. How are you?
Hi, Shaun. How are you?
I'm well. How was that? Was that a good introduction? Was that okay? It was like introducing Tiger Woods when he's on the first tee. Here's the winner of this tournament, of that tournament, of that tournament. Okay, let's get going already.
Yeah. Well, listen, that was very nice of you. But you know what? It's always a pleasure to hear and reminisce about some of the multiple great brands I've had a privilege to work for and with. And I was always driven by the opportunity to work for some of the best. And it's been awesome for myself. So thanks for the introduction.
Yeah, for sure. And we're here to talk about Tiger Woods. That tie-in that I made there was intentional. But before we move on to Tiger and what's likely to happen between him and a brand he's been with since he left university as a Stanford Cardinal, we talk so much about in the NHL, Ray, where players have a chance to come home, whether you're a player or a coach, an administrator, or whatever it is. If you can, talk me through quickly what it meant to you and perhaps even your family, God chez nous, to be an executive with the Montreal Canadiens. I don't want to speak for you, but perhaps working for an organization for a team that you cheered for when you're a boy.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid growing up in the, late 60s and 70s, and Jean Beliveau was my favorite player. And I watched his career until 1971 when he finished it off with the Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks in Game 7. And I always wanted to play for the Canadiens. Every kid in Quebec wanted to play for the Canadiens, and we'd get a hockey puck and a Canadiens jersey and a toque, for a Christmas gift, and your dream lived on, So over the course of your life, you make different choices, and they put you in different directions, and you navigate through it. And it's sometimes a big move forward, sometimes it's a parallel step in order to go forward again. But I mean, for the life of me, never thought 1 second I'd work for the Canadiens. And so when that opportunity came forward back in 2000, and I joined the team in 2001, it honestly was, wow, what do you do after a job like this? You see what I mean? It's like you kind of got to heaven too soon, and then you're looking back thinking, wow, this can't be this good, because it was such a privilege to be a part of that organization and the family and the alumni, especially. With many of them I have great relationships still today. And I was named a lifetime former ancien Canadien when we concluded the centennial, and we delivered a big check to help some of the older alumni that had played in the 40s and 50s that were financially strapped and needed some assistance. The centennial part of the overall celebration was to make a huge contribution and help them go forward. So there was some thankfulness and gratefulness on both sides. And for me, the relationships I have with many of them that I see and work in the media with today, that stays. And I feel that it's a permanent part of who I am. But clearly that was something special to be back here and work for the Montreal Canadiens, and enjoyed my decade there. And I think, I worked real hard at helping the team achieve new heights and new successes. But at the same time, it was a privilege to be in the organization.
And for sure, too, right? I mean, so many proud moments from your time with the Montreal Canadiens front office. And in particular, like when it comes to, the organization being the gold standard of how to pay tribute to former players or how to acknowledge a milestone in the history of the franchise, you were one of the main architects behind putting together some of those pregame ceremonies. I mean, that's got to be right up there in terms of still to this day in 2023, even though you professionally have been removed from the organization, that Montreal Ray is still considered to be the gold standard. That's the bar you have to match and maybe surpass if you're going to do something. And that has to be right up there amongst your proudest accomplishments, professionally speaking.
But to be honest with you, Shaun, there was a lot to work with.
Yeah,
I think
right.
when I arrived with the Canadians in 2001, the brand and the team were a little bit dormant and not really, leveraged and optimized. So there was a lot of work to do. So the team was really at the bottom of most commercial categories as far as an NHL team was, and especially the overall event at the former Molson Center that became the Bell Center in 2002. Everybody missed the forum so much. Everybody missed that intimacy that was there. So we had a chance to build something really significant, and we did receive many accolades from overseas, from NBC, from ESPN, from everybody in America. We're thinking, wow, the Canadians have really done a good job honoring the past, but it was a rich past comprised of incredible builders and extraordinary players. So you build off of that and you honor them. I mean, that was a privilege, because I could have worked 10 years for the Canadians in 1980 and I wouldn't have been able to celebrate a centennial. So being a part of 100 years of anything in life is really a privilege.
No doubt. And we can talk about loyalty, brand loyalty here, as it relates to another perhaps seismic shift in the world of professional golf. When we think about Tiger Woods, and when I think about Tiger Woods, I immediately associate him in two different ways: greatness and the Nike brand. And Ray, you're with me today to talk about perhaps the end of a relationship that began in 1996 when Nike decided to give this guy all he could handle right out of Stanford. I haven't seen any specific numbers, but I'm confident spitting this out there: hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of their deal together from 96 up until perhaps Sunday at the PNC, the infamous father-son from Orlando, where Tiger would be there with Charlie Saturday and Sunday to play some golf together, and we're all going to be watching. But Ray, is this perhaps the last time we're going to see Tiger be paid to wear the Nike swoosh? Is this arrangement that's been around since 1996 coming to an end?
There's so much to say about Tiger Woods. Number one, I've got a friend of mine that went down to Florida to see this event this coming weekend, and he's been a fan favorite and an absolute crazy over Tiger Woods in his career, and it inspired him to become a real good golfer and to play every day and to follow every tournament. And he grew up with Tiger on a Sunday afternoon on your TV screen, with Tiger wearing red and black and winning majors over and over and over again. I think Tiger Woods, the relationship with Nike is the continuation of the first established relationship in sports marketing between Michael Jordan and Nike. Nike is a very progressive, innovative, creative, risk-taking, driven by results company. They are the standard in sports globally. I used to work for the NBA in Europe. The Nike European headquarters was in near Amsterdam in Holland and in the Netherlands. And I visited many times with them doing business. The NBA has always been in business with Nike. Nike has dominated the global basketball shoe market since day one, and they've extended, their ability to create new lines of products, touch upon performance as much as casual, as much as fashion. They've talked and been associated with hockey in a former relationship with Nike Bauer, and they've been in golf because of Tiger Woods. And when they got Tiger Woods as a young man coming out of Stanford with those Bermuda shorts, winning the NCAA and about to take the PGA Tour by storm, right there in 97, he won the Masters, and it propelled him to another level. I remember the 2000 US Open at Pebble Beach, where he won by, 12 or 14 strokes. I can't remember. The domination by Tiger Woods was something that only Michael Jordan had done. So in a line of immortals of sport, Tiger Woods is right up there. His career is struggling right now because of physical challenges that he's faced. It's very complicated. You can play golf much later in life than you play basketball or football or hockey, for example, but you still have to be healthy. And it's so competitive because there's so many great golfers today that have taken advantage of the better fitness, the better technology, the better equipment, for example. And so Tiger has created an entire generation of followers everywhere, some casually, some recreationally, and some professionally, that wanted to emulate what Tiger had done, that wanted to be the next Tiger, that were impressed themselves of being in the presence of Tiger Woods, because he's so much the most dominating needle mover in sports. Nobody has ever moved the needle on a week by week basis every time he appears on television. Over the course of the last 15 to 20 years, everybody stops and watches. Even when Jordan was playing, well, we had less, media, less social media, less technology. We didn't even have phones or mobile phones then. It was, the onset of all of that. I got my first mobile phone when I was with the NBA back in Europe in the mid 90s. Jordan was there playing, but we couldn't take pictures. We couldn't do all of that stuff. Today, we could basically make a phone call, perhaps get an SMS message. But Tiger Woods has taken advantage of all of this acceleration of the world, and he propelled Nike to a new level in the business of golf. So Nike did so well with the equipment. They did so well with, the attire. Tiger was the poster child for all of this. And Nike did very well financially. And I calculated with these various contracts, it started with a 5-year, $40 million deal, so $8 million a year when he was a kid at 96, 97. And then it moved to 10 millions and 20 million. I think his last contract was more than that, probably in the range of about $700 million that they have paid him. And he's made so much more with other sponsors, most of which, Shaun, have left him.
Yes.
Because of his transgressions and his behavioral issues that he faced in the late 2000s. But Nike was always there. So that's why, to me today, I'm still shocked by this news that it could happen. It hasn't happened yet. I'm hoping that they can find a way. But at the same time, Nike dropped Roger Federer. And
Yes.
And Lionel Messi left Nike to go to Adidas, and Kobe Bryant left Adidas to go to Nike. And those are all, legendary, icons of sport.
Who's the other? Simone Biles is another one that
Biles,
left.
Yep.
Right. I mean, it's quite the laundry list of unbelievable athletes across a variety of sports. And we're talking about the possibility here of Tiger Woods and Nike parting ways from a relationship that's been established since 1996. And I would imagine the return on investment from Nike's behalf, if they paid this guy upwards of $750 million, has been exponentially higher than that. And, Nike stopped manufacturing golf clubs 7 years ago. 2016 was when they put an end to the hardware division. They've been an apparel company, a shoe company since then. And I'm not going to lie, full disclosure, I have quite a few pairs of Nike shoes. And maybe that's why every time I wait for my Nike delivery, it always says it's coming from the Netherlands, parts of Amsterdam, before it ultimately ends up on my doorstep. But I know off the top of my head, Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Brooks Koepka, still part of the stable here. So when you mentioned previously that Nike decides to move away from the great Roger Federer and he moves on and starts kind of his own thing, what is your professional gut instinct tell you about, was this Nike's call? Was this Tiger's call? What do you think led to the path that perhaps we could be talking in the next week or two of Tiger without an apparel endorsement, and certainly not Nike? Whose call was this?
Well, look, I mean, those two know the answer to that, or their respective representatives. I can't believe Tiger would leave Nike, only because when you're with Nike, everybody else wants to be where you are.
Yeah.
Because again, they're the standard. I don't care if it's Bridgestone or TaylorMade or any of them, Under Armour, like Jordan Spieth. Yeah, they all would like to be with Nike. Roger Federer was ending his career, and Nike said, okay, well, this is going to be it. And he signed with Uniqlo for $300 million for 10 years, and he wasn't even playing. I think he played 2 years out of that deal. It's still ongoing. He's making good money, and then he started his own apparel brand and shoe brand and he owns 3% of that company, and they're doing quite well. But it's a very small piece of the shoe business globally. Nike's business is $52 billion of sales a year. I mean, it's more than all the other ones combined. They have such a great market share. They have the big names. They spend billions on athlete endorsements. So they go all out. They still have a guy like Nadal, for example, who's on the verge of ending his career also soon.
Yeah.
And they stuck with him, but they've gotten some of the greatest names in sports over the decades of their business. That's a tribute to Phil Knight and their approach. They're very, resilient. They hang in there with you even though things don't always go well. They can absorb the storm and deal with the consequences of a player misbehaving or being in trouble with the law or whatever. They haven't thrown everybody out the door when things like this have happened. I think that if I were in the shoes of the Nike executive, I'd still feel really challenged to let go of Tiger Woods, even though his performance is no longer what it used to be. His health is no longer what it used to be. He's still a visible name. He's not retiring yet. Maybe he'll play less, maybe a few majors, maybe based on his health, a few Champions Tour events. Who knows? But he's still young enough to be able to continue to leverage. And that's what Uniqlo did with Federer. They knew he wasn't going to play tennis much longer, but they knew that Roger Federer, the legend, is still going to continue to draw attention and be in business and make appearances. So they said, we'll spend the money. It doesn't matter if you don't play tennis. We love you for the, accomplishments and the reputation that you've established over the years. And I think that's what surprises me with this, is that Nike would actually let go of Tiger Woods. So I think, this is just my opinion, that it's probably their decision, but I'm still shocked that they are going in that direction. If it happens.
I'm shocked. They released, when they released the Nike, the Tiger Woods anniversary shoe last summer, I went out and I bought it. Full transparency, $330. They just released the Tiger Woods Augusta green shoe. And I, as someone that plays over 100 rounds of golf a year, hand to my heart, it is the best, most durable shoe I've ever worn in my life. The Tiger Woods signature shoe, it's the best shoe I've ever worn. And it's very durable. It stands up to hundreds of rounds of golf, and you pay a premium price for it. So it's obviously there, and they're still generating a boatload of revenue. Can you see this being the difference in Nike? As we said already, 2016, they got away from manufacturing hardware, out of the club business into the apparel shoe business. Is this one step closer to being out of the golf business altogether, Ray?
Well, again, it looks like it, because again, the apparel business is, incredibly, profitable for them. Everybody wears Nike polos and gear, whether you play golf or not. It just looks good. The designs, the quality of the product. I mean, seriously, golf pants you can wear all summer and it looks good. It's nice quality, nice colors, nice material. So, I mean, I don't know why they would get out of that. I understand the hardware, the equipment. It's competitive, and it's not their core business. But like I said, they've tried in the hockey business before, and they realized, well, let's leave that to CCM and Bauer and others. So they're capable of pivoting and making those choices like that. I'm still surprised, because golf is a growing sport, about to be quite an issue, with Live Golf and with the PIF. And the Public Investment Fund from Saudi Arabia, perhaps joining forces with the PGA Tour or not. But either way, the economy of golf is growing at an exponential rate. You saw what John Rahm got, and you're going to have more of those guys. And the PGA Tour has got to work harder to create more money. And when it creates money, it creates attention, it creates coverage, it creates conversation, and it creates consumption, which ultimately leads to, I want to go play golf today because I just watched these guys go at it, and people buy the gear. So it's an interesting strategic choice by Nike. But look, they're always, whatever they do it well, and they do it with success, and they deliver quality products. So if they are deciding to get out of the golf business altogether, it's probably because they have other focus, other priorities, and they're going to go forward with what they know what to do best, which is deliver the best experience for consumers.
And I'll miss him. I miss him. I've been a Nike guy my whole life, and I'll even mention this. I remember when Sidney Crosby got his first endorsement from Reebok CCM, and I was at the launch when John Tavares showed up and Victor Hedman showed up, and I was there and I watched the launch and got to talk to these guys. And in the back of my head, Ray, if I go back to the Crosby deal, I'm like, Winners sign with Nike, man. Cool guys
Yep.
sign with Nike, but the rest, as they say, is history. And for me, my own opinion, I think Tiger Woods is the greatest pitchman I've ever experienced in my life. As you know, I'm a diehard golfer, and I can rattle off so many different names. Go back to when Tiger won at Eastlake, his first win after all the accidents and everything else, was
Yes.
it 2019 or whatever it was, and
Yep.
he was wearing the red mock neck. You could
Yep.
not find a red mock neck Tiger Woods golf shirt 24 hours later. This guy
Yep.
he gets his new launch monitor business off the ground. Boom, you can't find them anywhere. As I just mentioned earlier, Nike's Tiger Woods signature shoe dropped $400, sold out. Can't find them. Go on eBay. You're going to pay an exorbitant price to get those shoes into your possession. Is there anybody comparable that when an athlete comes out and says, "Listen, here's what I wear, here's what I use," who measures up to Tiger Woods as a pitchman for their product?
Well, I mean, look, there's been Michael Jordan, and then it was Tiger Woods, and then there's others
Right.
like Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, but Tiger's above all of them. I think the only guy that really set the stage that continues to crush it in everything he does, but he's past 60 now, so he doesn't have that same intention, is Michael Jordan. But Tiger Woods, of all the athletes in an individual sport, in a sport that's not that accessible to everyone. Basketball, you can play on the street, you can play in the park, one-on-one, alone. Golf is not the same kind of sport. You got to get to a course or a driving range. Tiger Woods inspired an entire generation, and people stop. And that's why Nike goes with the best, because he has been the best, and who knows if he's the greatest ever vis-a-vis Jack Nicklaus. But the point is that he's a once-in-a-century athlete that was able to combine success on the playing field, whatever it is, commercial success, and the ability to draw people, stop them in their tracks, get people to focus, get people to watch him, because he's about to do something extraordinary once again. So over and over, from 97, when was his physical issue, and the issue with his family life was in 2008?
Yeah.
I mean, from 97 to 2008, 11 straight years. If he led on Sunday, it was over, game over. And, the outfit, the ratings that all the networks benefited from, the PGA Tour as a business drew all kinds of new sponsors and new money, and everybody got rich off Tiger Woods' back. So, I mean, it's like, again, so much credit to him, and people need to be thankful that he crossed their path in their golf business, whatever attachment it is, because without Tiger Woods, golf is not what it is today. And you can't say that about anyone else in sports, and there's certainly no one in 2023 that can do that. Many people have had great success. Michael Phelps, Novak Djokovic, and so on, Usain Bolt. But none of them have been able to crystallize it and galvanize a population, a global population, into this kind of attraction. No one.
I think that's well said. And in particular, just to add to that, surrounded with the controversy and what that controversy was, and it's still, I mean, it tarnished, but it didn't knock him out. He's still back up there. There's going to be millions of people watching the PNC, watching him and his son Charlie tee it up in Orlando starting on Saturday. Nobody moves the needle like him, which takes me to, I guess, the next logical question here, Ray. Talking about the possibility of Nike and Tiger Woods parting ways after being together since 1996. A pleasure to have Ray Lalonde on In the Car with Starr, proudly brought to you by Little Bear Pet Store online, littlebearonline.com. Get all your pets' needs delivered quickly and cheaply to your house, and they deliver locally. When it comes to Tiger, do you see other brands, whether, I don't care who the brand is in golf, is there going to be a lineup at this guy's front door? Because earlier we're talking about how golfers will pretty much do whatever Tiger Woods tells them to do. How appealing is Tiger at 48 years old, Ray, in terms of a brand ambassador for the game?
Well, it's a really good question, because everybody's kind of wanting and waiting to see how's his health going to hold up. How can he actually play a small number of events where there's visibility for them in the 2024 year and beyond. So, and also, how will his golf league take off? It's delayed by a year with Rory, but is that something that Tiger is going to continue to transfer and transit into the business world and be successful there also, and then establish himself as a corporate leader? Is that something that a brand would be interested in. I don't think there's anything comparable to Nike, no matter how you look. And even if Tiger was playing 30 events a year, there's no one like Nike. So I think you have to start by looking at smaller brands that come in and say, I want a piece of Tiger. I mean, look, he had a deal with Buick. They left him, and then he put Monster energy drink on his bag. So he's found ways to make up for some of those losses. But Monster's not Gatorade. You know what I mean? And the absence of American Express and Accenture and Buick, well, you know, he hasn't always replaced them. So his commercial earnings have diminished over the years. But he still remains, you know, an icon. So it's really going to be about how much does he really want to commercialize himself? Is he making himself available? Is he participating in the launch or the growth of new products or partners that want to be associated with him? Or maybe he's satisfied where he is right now, and he's just going to, you know, accumulate what he needs to continue to play, but not go after, you know, the big partnership that could generate tens of millions of dollars. It really depends on what he wants to do and how much he wants to be visible in the public eye. So, you know, that's going to be in front of our eyes soon. What I know for sure is that he'll find a shoe company, he'll find a ball company, he'll find, you know, clubs like he has with TaylorMade, and the attire will come from someone else. Or maybe he's going to launch his own brand himself with the TW logo that he owns. And he can go on his own, and that's going to be a subdivision. It's kind of like the Jordan brand that came out of the Nike relationship. It's a subdivision and a sub company of Nike, but it generates $5 billion a year for, you know, the brand and for Nike and for Michael Jordan. So maybe that's something that Tiger hasn't spoken about, that he will, and unveil that soon. But one thing's for sure, he remains a tremendous spokesperson and a great athlete to be associated with.
So that takes us. We have a listener weighing in. Athanasios, thanks for tuning in with Ray Lalonde and yours truly on In the Car with Starr, brought to you by Little Bear, littlebearonline.com. Athanasios, his contention is he feels like the controversy with Tigers has tarnished the brand. Do you think there's a little bit of reluctance, you know, that it has to be a specific brand with a specific backstory, like a confident brand like Nike that can, as you mentioned earlier, absorb the controversy without it affecting their bottom line? How much do you think of Tiger's past transgressions has affected the potential association that a company might have with Tiger?
Well, I think it has affected it, and I think it's hurt him financially, and it is the public perception of Tiger. But on the other hand, you know, he turned around and won the East Lake Tour Championship in 2018, I think, and in the Masters in 2019, if I'm correct. So look, he's proven that he can survive and recover from all of that and still be very competitive. Now it's a health issue, but at the end of the day, he'll never get the big partnerships like he used to, I believe. But I still think that people forgive athletes and that make mistakes because they're human. They're like every one of us. We all misstep or derail our train once in a while, and it's okay. That's life. So, you know, people need to give him a chance, and people need to look at him today with a fresh perspective and not hold it against him. He paid his penalty. You know, he suffered the consequences. Right now, he's got physical limitations and issues. So that's what he's battling with now. But, you know, he remains an immortal of sport that will have made an incredible impression. You know, we'll still be talking about the exploits of Tiger Woods 100 years from now, because he's one of a few athletes that belongs on the Mount Rushmore of the best ever, all sports included.
Yeah, well said. You know, it's funny. I was watching Golf Channel yesterday, and they had the golf films on of the history of St. Andrews, which I watched in its entirety. And then they had the backstory of Bernard Langer and, you know, the path that he took to becoming one of the greatest ever and the greatest champions golfer of all time. And he had mentioned something very interesting yesterday when he talked about going into the weight room, you know, and Gary Player was one of the first guys to kind of make fitness a priority in golf and try to get everybody on a fitter scale. And then Bernard was mentioning when he first joined the Champions Tour, and he mentioned that, you know, he'd go in the training room before an event, there'd be like two guys there. Now it's 99.9% of the field that's stretching, lifting weights, warming up before they go play. And he says, listen, that's the Tiger Woods right there, where, you know, they're not talking about the round shaped roly-poly guys, the Craig Stadlers of the world anymore. Now it's about Rory, chiseled, Tiger. You saw Tiger when he played at the Hero in the Bahamas in
Yep.
Albany. I mean, the guy skips leg day. Temon Costoder, he's so cut. He's got that
Yeah.
whole V shape on his upper body. I mean, the guy
Yeah.
he doesn't stop lifting.
Yeah, well, when you mentioned Craig Stadler, that's a good example.
Yes,
John Daly, and and guys like that. But when I was a kid growing up, and the Canadians had a goalie named Gump Worsley, you know,
sure.
seriously, I had a trading card from Gump Worsley. Didn't play with a mask on. He was a chubby guy. I loved the goalie pads. He always drew my attention. But I
Yeah,
was always collecting those cards. Gump Worsley is far from what a Samuel Montembeault is like today, or what a Vasilevsky is for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
yeah,
Goalies today in hockey have become the best athletes on the team. Uh, they need to be the best skaters of a hockey team. When the old days, these guys were just basically standing up there. They didn't want to get hits and they'd never go down, but they weren't really athletic enough to move. So
right.
guys would just pile the goals on. But at the end of the day, that transformation is the same kind of transformation you see in golf, where for these pro guys, if you want to compete and you want to win and you want to drive and outdrive and you want to get the distance and you want to make the cut and you want to go under par and you want to win the prize, you got to be absolutely fit, and you've got to be eating this up, because that's what Tiger did and it worked for him. So we need to do the same thing. And nowadays you got guys like DeChambeau that can hit it 400 yards
Yeah,
on an event,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is crazy. So they do that because, and then he's lost a lot of weight because he slimmed down and he wanted to get even leaner, but he wanted to get more flexible. So you see again how athletes today are very focused, not only on the mental preparation, as we talked about Djokovic earlier, but on the physical preparation that is required for their sports, because they know that the moment is now, the window is short, and the competition around them for that job and that prize money is ferocious. So it's very difficult.
Always great to be able to go in depth with you, Ray. I love our segments together every Tuesday, every Thursday on the TSN 690 Morning Show. You might want to get some appointment listening if you like the numbers behind sports and the needle pushers in the world of sports. Ray, with his extensive, credible background from NBA executive, president of the Owls, CMO of the Montreal Canadiens. And what can you tell us about your new venture? I know you do a lot of contributions. You're with us Tuesdays and Thursdays. Contributor on RDS on TV en français every now and again. What else are you up to?
Well, I usually, the last couple of years, I've been doing three different things, Shaun. Number one, a lot of media analysis with you guys, with RDS for the last 10 years. Prior to that, even with Cogeco and 98.5, but now with BPM morning shows at 7:30 every morning. A lot of, requests that come in from other networks, because I'm not really exclusive with anyone. I just do it because I'm passionate about it. I love to talk about sports, and I love to break it down and go into the non-result side of sports and talk about some of the details. So to help people be more informed and even better understand. So because I'm really trying to convert more people to sport by explaining some of these deals and some of these values and some of these stadiums and some of these constructions and some of these player contracts. So I do that. Number two, I also do a lot of keynote speaking, for corporations and even sports organizations. Yes, Shaun, but mostly for non-sports organizations that want to hear about what worked in sports that we could apply in our business. So honestly, law firms, window companies, garage companies, ski station associations, everything. I've done so many that are not related. Real estate, commercial real estate, Cadillac Fairview and things. I mean, everything you can think of that want to have a perspective of someone that has worked in sports, because it's an easy subject for people to get into and to follow. I'm not talking about, science or dentistry or anything like that. I'm talking about sports, and they love to hear it. So you got to bring the parallels together. And the other thing I do is a lot of consulting with companies that are in sports or outside of sports, leagues and associations and federations, and different projects that I come in for a moment, short moment, longer term. I've worked with the COC on a couple of, experiences, including in Russia at the Olympics, and different organizations that need some help from a commercial standpoint, from the revenue generation standpoint. So, and then as on top of that, I'm working on two personal projects right now that I can't get into detail yet, but soon, and they're both involving sports and technology and things that are going to be the future of our society. So very excited about all that.
Oh, that is very exciting. Looking forward to seeing what you have up your sleeve in the not too distant future. Ray Lalonde, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your expertise. And as a passionate golfer, I really hope Tiger Woods and Nike can find a way to establish common ground and keep that relationship going. If not, I'll be wide-eyed and optimistic about what's next for the greatest golfer to ever tee it up. Ray, thank you.
Thanks, Shaun. I appreciate it. Have a good day.